Alec Baldwin has been charged with involuntary manslaughter in New Mexico, according to news reports. So let's break that down. My name is Drew Page. Welcome to the Drew Page channel. We're going to talk about what is necessary for the prosecution to prove involuntary manslaughter in New Mexico and talk a little bit about the case. So if you find this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell. News broke today that Alec Baldwin is being charged with involuntary manslaughter in New Mexico over the shooting that occurred while he was on the set of the movie Rust. Remember that this was supposed to be a prop on the scene. He picked it up. He's claimed that he did not pull the trigger, that the gun essentially just went off. There has already been one person that has entered a plea agreement, one of the producers, I believe it was, maybe the director. But they've entered into a plea deal, and the FBI forensics have said that there's no way that the gun would have gone off without someone pulling the trigger. On January 17th, a search warrant was executed on Alec Baldwin's phone, and now we are learning that they are charging him with involuntary manslaughter. So what does the prosecution have to prove in order to have a jury or a judge convict Alec Baldwin of involuntary manslaughter? Let's look at the statute. According to the New Mexico statute, manslaughter is defined as the unlawful killing of a human being without malice. Malice would be a requirement for a murder charge. So since they're saying it's without malice, they're saying it's without any evil or ill intent. Voluntary manslaughter in New Mexico consists of a manslaughter that's committed upon a sudden quarrel or in the heat of passion. This would be a scenario like a guy that was walking in on his wife and some other person engaging in sexual relations, and in the heat of the moment he kills the person and or his wife. That's the typical law school example of what heat of passion stands for. That's clearly not what we have here in this case, because there was nothing voluntary, at least based on the evidence that's been presented for Alec Baldwin, that there was any provocation, that there was any type of heat of passion or sudden quarrel. The statute goes on to say involuntary manslaughter consists of manslaughter committed in the commission of an unlawful act not amounting to felony, or in the commission of a lawful act that might produce death in an unlawful manner, or without due caution and circumspection. Whoever commits involuntary manslaughter is guilty of a fourth-degree felony for involuntary manslaughter. In other words, an involuntary manslaughter is one that is a result of criminal negligence. Now, this requires more than just simple negligence. There has to be a reckless, willful disregard for the rights of others, or what's in civil cases called gross negligence. It can't just be simple negligence. It has to be more than that. And so what they are claiming here is that that Alec Baldwin committed gross negligence by picking up the prop, pointing it toward the other person, and pulling the trigger and shooting the person, I guess, without regard to whether the gun was loaded, whether it was a live gun, or any of that. Now, I will say that on a criminal negligence basis, just with the information we have, it's going to be difficult for them to demonstrate that the actor was supposed to know whether the prop was a real firearm or not. So that's going to be a real key piece, is maybe it's negligence, but is it gross negligence? That's what the linchpin of this case is going to hinge on. So it's going to be interesting to see how the facts play out as to whether the district attorney or Commonwealth or whatever their prosecuting agents are called there in New Mexico, whether they're going to be able to prove that his conduct rises to gross negligence as opposed to just simple negligence. So that's pretty much the standard across all states. Is that it can't just be simple negligence, it has to rise to gross negligence. And whether him taking that gun and pointing it in the direction of somebody, he knew that it was a loaded gun, whether he knew it was a prop, whether he had any reason to check it to make sure, whether he had any reliance on any of the producers, directors, and any other people, and what everyone else's understanding of it was in the area. So as we see the case play out, we'll figure out if that's a case that the district attorney can prove, and if they'll be able to rise to beyond a reasonable doubt, which is also different than the civil, which is just a preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not. Beyond a reasonable doubt is actually the highest legal standard in the United States. So What do you think? Do you think that they're going to be able to prove that he was grossly negligent? Or do you think that this was mere simple negligence? Or do you think he wasn't negligent at all? Let me know down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the notification bell, and until next time, stay tuned.